pasará a la historia. Después de más de 50 años de conflicto, el país inicia hoy su camino hacia la paz, luego de que la guerrilla de las FARC y el gobierno anunciaran el cese el fuego bilateral y definitivo, uno de los últimos puntos de la agenda en el proceso de negociación.
"23rd of June 2015. I was shooting a documentary about Sri Ravi Shankar, and by chance I became part of the delegation that went with him in one of his peacemaking missions. Back then, Colombia was different.
Según los primeros informes, una cuadrilla de la columna móvil atacó cruel y deliberadamente al grupo de militares.
Señores de las FARC, llegó la hora de acabar la guerra.
Pero en la mesa somos dos partes. Y las aspiraciones nuestras son por completo diferentes.
3 meses y 25 días duró la tregua entre las Fuerzas Armadas y Militares de Colombia y las FARC. Hoy, el presidente Juan Manuel Santos fue
unilateral. Pues bien, estos sectores lo que han dicho es que es urgente parar la máquina de víctimas, que ya no se puede permitir en Colombia ni la muerte de un guerrillero, ni la muerte de un soldado, ni la muerte de un campesino, ni de un indígena.
A bloody war had raged in Colombia for 50 years. 250,000 lives lost. 7 million victims.
La paciencia se nos agota.
Sabemos bien que lo único que espera la oligarquía de nosotros es una entrega humillante.
Y si quieren la paz, tienen que demostrarlo con hechos y no con palabras.
For 5 years, the two sides had been negotiating, trying to reach an agreement. Sri arrived in Colombia, where he was awarded the country's highest civilian honor. Besides being the spiritual leader to millions of people, Sri had been part of conflict resolution in more than 10 countries across Asia, Africa, and Europe. This was the first time he got involved in a Latin American country. We weren't sure how Colombia would receive a different view of the conflict. His first meeting was with President Juan Manuel Santos. We never knew what happened inside. It was a closed-door meeting. It was supposed to last only 10 minutes, but he ended up staying for an hour. Later, Sri met with a group of victims, people who had been deeply affected by the conflict.
Inflicting suffering on others, suffering will not go. Revenge will, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, will not lead you anywhere.
Y diente por diente no nos va a llevar a ningún lado.
Eye for eye, tooth for tooth.
Ojo por ojo, diente por diente.
It will only make the whole world blind.
He told them something that must have been difficult to hear. That in that moment, they could choose between justice and peace.
I met with Sri Ravi Shankar in Bogota, our capital city. With my consent, he met in Havana, in Cuba, with the negotiators of the FARC guerrillas.
FARC will come at 4, from 4 to 7.
Morning we have.
And now it was time for the other part, meeting with the FARC peace delegation.
This is the Revolution Square.
3 days of talks between Latin America's oldest and largest guerrilla organization and an Indian spiritual leader. What would the meeting be like? We were all anxious. Sri, on the other hand, didn't seem worried.
Vivimos, diríamos así, como la contradicción de buscar la paz teniendo que enfrentar la guerra.
Lives have been lost on both sides.
Yo sé que se han perdido vidas de ambos lados.
And there is lot of mistrust
Así que hay mucha desconfianza
from the government
del gobierno
and from your side also.
y de
At the end of the first day, the Dutch member of FARC still had her doubts.
Do you think spirituality is possible without social justice?
No. Social justice is the first step of spirituality. In fact, spirituality brings social justice. They are the one goes with the other. Mañana.
Bueno, hasta mañana.
We need to look forward, not just sit and brood over the yesterday.
¿Es posible que esto pase sin que haya verdad, sin que haya justicia?
No, truth and reconciliation is needed.
No, la paz y la reconciliación, la verdad y la reconciliación son
But
necesarias.
not revenge.
The press department of the president called.
However, it seemed that Sri Sri had won their trust.
The press department.
It was confirmed that two high-ranking FARC leaders, key for the negotiating process, would attend: Iván Márquez and Pablo Catatumbo, both the war names.
No somos terroristas,
We are not
no somos
We
narcotraficantes,
are not
no somos bandidos, somos revolucionarios.
We are revolutionary.
During this session, they exposed their perspective on the conflict.
Es posible una amnistía para todos. Es el único camino que nos va a conducir a la reconciliación. Porque en una guerra tan prolongada, todos somos culpables.
Porque ningún proceso de paz en el mundo ha culminado con los jefes de la insurgencia tras las rejas.
Have finished with the leaders in on the prison.
Everybody is a victim.
Y todos son víctimas.
It's not that one is culprit. When you see someone as culprit,
Cuando tú ves a alguien como
you demand them to be
culpable
punished.
o victimario, entonces tú exiges que esa persona sea castigada.
But when you understand
Pero cuando
that
entiendes
culprit is also a
que
victim,
el victimario también es
so
una
everyone is a
víctima,
victim.
todos son víctimas.
For the sake of peace,
Por la paz,
we should walk one extra mile.
They look so soft, no? Everybody?
At the end of the second day, Sri Sri decided to go against all protocols and invited the FARC members to the Indian embassy.
The fruit of it will
What
be
the guerrilla leaders didn't know was that Sri Sri was going to guide them into a meditation.
shake your hands
Sacude tus manos.
so you relax, you make your body flexible. Meditation is a journey from movement to stillness, sound to silence.
It was the third day. Time was running out.
all the members of the FARC and all the members of the FARC for this historical meeting.
Send this to Indian ambassador. You have his number? One thing I want to add, like what we spoke yesterday, the FARC adopted Gandhian principle to attain social justice. We can have our political goals, whatever your political ideology you should have, and not give up the cause.
No dejar la causa,
But with a new experiment
pero con un
or with
experimento
a new vision
con una nueva
of
visión
number.
de no.
He offered them a revolutionary thought. With his peaceful resistance, Gandhi had liberated an entire subcontinent without surrendering and without giving up. But for the FARC, it was not easy to accept.
Lo voy a decir con mucha franqueza.
I would say with a lot of
Resultaría hipócrita de parte nuestra
hypocrisy from our side.
decir que en esta reunión vamos a adoptar el principio de la no violencia.
Adopt the principle of non-violence.
You know, if you send the message that to
Ustedes envían el
non-violence,
mensaje de
if
no
government
violencia.
does even one person later on does any harm to one person,
Si el gobierno después
the
le hace un
entire
daño a
international
una persona,
community will
toda
make the government
la
responsible.
comunidad internacional va a ser el gobierno
And will
responsable y van a empezar a
Because they
luchar
will say,
ustedes.
look, these
Y
people
vayan a decir, miren, esta
are
gente
doing resistance with
está
Gandhian principle.
resistiendo con el principio gandhiano. Apure.
Take the time, but
Tomen su tiempo,
as soon as it is
pero
done,
en cuanto antes se pueda lograr,
and if it is done with much
y
surprise,
si es logrado con
it will
sorpresa,
have much better
va a
impact
tener un
and much
impacto
better
mucho
result.
mayor.
10 minutes later, there was a press conference. And unexpectedly, the FARC leaders expressed some hope.
Ojalá podamos los colombianos abrazar pronto el principio gandhiano de la no violencia. Coincidimos con el maestro Shankar que en el fondo todos somos víctimas. Y si partimos de esa comprensión, podremos dejar atrás, amarrada en el pasado, una historia triste de violencia que no ha de repetirse, porque la sociedad ha dicho nunca más.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Though their declaration was cautious, Sri looked happy. Maybe he knew it was just a question of time.
Anunciamos nuestra disposición de ordenar un cese al fuego unilateral.
This time, the guerrillas maintained their ceasefire for a whole year as negotiations continued. Until at last, Colombia celebrated its first day of peace.
And war or conflict begins when communication breaks down. Peace is not just the absence of conflict, absence of bloodshed. It is a positive state that we all nurture within us. It's the inner peace that can bring peace in family, that can bring peace in society, and ultimately in the world.